Okay, everyone, this week I have gone into the archive, the topgrowthexperts.com archive, and I've pulled out an old video that I did for Google, and it was to increase the sales of their Google Pixel 4a handset. So for this video here, I don't actually have my face in the video, it's just a recording of the page as I'm narrating through the changes that I make. And I also make some live changes on the page itself, so you can see what I'm talking about when I say, when I discuss the changes that are necessary to drive more engagement and drive more sales of the actual Google Pixel 4a handset. Now, initially I didn't have permission to release this because it was too new, but now that it's a little bit older, I do have permission to release the video, the full video, on my YouTube channel, so you can use it for learning and the educational experience. Although the video is a couple of years old now, the lessons that are actually in the video itself are still very applicable today, and they actually always will be, okay, because they are just like cornerstones of marketing and sales online. So please enjoy the video. I hope you find it useful, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks. Hey everyone, Michael Maven here, topgrowthexperts.com. Today you're going to see a live breakdown of Google's page, which they use to sell the Pixel 4a phone. You're going to see what works for them, what isn't working for them, and most importantly, you're going to see some of the biggest revenue threats that are costing them money right now on this live website, okay? Now, one of the most important things to remember is Google is a huge brand, okay? Everybody knows who they are, everybody knows their products, they sell mobile phones, these Pixels, okay? So everybody kind of knows exactly, before they even arrive at this page, before you arrive at the sales page, Google already has a huge amount of credibility and trust in the brand, okay? So you're going to see exactly today how they use that and why they don't really need to market as strongly as other people do, as other smaller companies do, especially when people don't know who you are. Google don't really need to do that, okay? So this is a slightly different sort of marketing page. It's a good idea for you to not really copy exactly what bigger companies do, because unless your company is of this size, and I'm guessing it probably isn't for most people, but unless your company is this size and you already have a lot of brand history and a big brand name behind you, I'm kind of going to go through why you shouldn't really copy this, big companies' marketing. They don't really need to kind of do anything in terms of the regular marketing that other companies have to do. They don't really have to go into their story. There's no, use of biases or influencing people to help them make purchase decisions. To be honest, marketing is really almost kind of secondary when it comes to, the way that Google sell, because they rely so much on their big brand name. But you're going to see a breakdown today of what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and even still, what's costing them money on pages like this. Okay, so we're going to go through that today. Now, one thing that's important to note is that the page you see in front of you is this is their Black Friday deal, okay, saving £30 on the Pixel 4a. Now, what the page usually looks like is, this is kind of what it looked like at the start when it was first introduced here. You can see this is the pre-order using the Wayback Machine. This is from the page from the 6th of August 2020 where you're able to pre-order it. But today, like now that the Black Friday deal is finished, you can actually see it's still the same page, okay? So all of this is exactly the same, whereas the only thing that's kind of different is what you see when the page first loads, okay? And that's here. You can see this is the same once again. That's the regular page. Whereas the only thing that's different for the Black Friday deal is they put in the black background and they put this offer in, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that just right now. I'm going to be kind of going through the website and showing you some of the things that are blocking people from making purchase decisions. And when you carry what I call them is revenue threats, and when you carry these revenue threats on a website, they actually degrade your revenue, they make your advertising cost more money, they lower your conversions, and they do all sorts of this terrible things to your company, okay? And a lot of people, they're not even aware that these things are taking place. So I'm going to kind of walk through some of the mistakes that Google are making and highlighting some of the revenue threats, and you'll see how even big companies are making mistakes with their websites. Now, what you're going to see today is the experience as a desktop viewer. So obviously, the experience on mobile is going to be different, but when you're buying a £350 phone, a lot of people will actually, they will review this on desktop, and they like to have a look around and kind of see some of the concepts and the ideas behind the phone. Okay, so this is very important. the first thing we're going to talk about here is, if you see right now, this is all the content that you see above the fold. The fold is the bottom of the page right here. So let me give you a little example of what that kind of looks like. So all the content that you see here in blue is all above the fold. And if I scroll down the page slightly, you'll see the red content is everything that's kind of below the fold. Okay, and if you want to kind of have a bit of a clearer look at it, that's all the content on the page, and that's everything here in the blue is the content that's above the fold. So that's everything you see as soon as the page is loaded. Okay, and that's really important that you get that right, because obviously that's the first thing the visitor sees, so you have to have that absolutely perfect. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the site. You can see now that's the above the fold. We're going to be looking at exactly that content that displays when the website first loads. Okay, so looking at this headline, I mean, Google, the first thing that's actually beneficial for Google's a very different company than most of ours out here, okay, because they have huge brand recognition. Everybody knows who Google are. Everybody knows what about the Pixel phones. So the chances are that people have, when they first land on this web page, they know exactly what the Pixel is. Okay, they know it's a Google phone, and so therefore Google can start off with a headline like this. Okay, save £30 on Pixel 4a. So Google straight away, they don't need to kind of really explain what the product is, how it benefits you, or do most of the things that many of us actually need to do with their products, because they've got so much big brand power behind them. Okay, but saying that, starting off with a headline like this, it still kind of leaves more to be imagined, because I mean, this is not really, it's not a very good headline. So even with all that brand recognition, this is not really a great headline. Okay, save £30 on Pixel 4a. It's just kind of just telling you, hey, listen, this is the Pixel 4a and you can save £30 on it. Okay, people, it's a Black Friday deal, so people kind of still have an understanding about it. But let's see if we can kind of make this a little bit more interesting. Okay, you'll notice next to the 4a, they've got this funny little asterisk. And if we scroll down to the bottom of the site, all the way to the bottom, we'll be able to see the terms and conditions next to that asterisk. Okay, and I believe that's this one here, which is save £30, and it gives you some interesting information. And that information is that the promotion starts on the 18th of November. It's the UK British way of writing it, so it's the 18th of November 2020 at 12 AM, and it ends on the 1st of December at 11:59 PM. Okay, so basically what we've just kind of found out is that there is a limited time to this offer. Okay, and as you all know, limited times, and that time crunch puts a little bit of urgency on people. Okay, so someone coming to the site to read this offer here, which is save £30 on Pixel 4a, they might, they're not really aware straight away that an offer like that is actually limited by time. Okay, even though it might be obvious to people because of Black Friday deal, but even still, it doesn't say anything about that here. The other mistake that's being made on this page is a UX experience. It's a UX mistake, which is people here, when they often land on this page, they might just land and they may not realize that up here in the top you can actually scroll and there's lots more content behind the page, okay, below the fold, and even interesting things like this, which is looking for a phone. This is quite a compelling headline. Okay, it's something that would be, if people are looking for phones with 5G speeds, new cameras, features, and more battery, they would be very interested in that, and they may think, hold on a second, that's quite interesting, to kind of to even just hook them into researching the phone more. Because you have to think about, when people first land on this page, how aware are they about the product? Now, not everybody who lands on this page, although they will be way more aware about the company, Google has a big brand, and maybe about the phone, everyone knows about Pixel, the Google Pixel phone, they might not specifically be interested in buying straight away. And you'll notice that Google has a buy now button here and a buy now button here, but if I want to learn more information about the phone, there's nothing really here for me. Okay, and it's not very obvious that there's content below the fold as well. So, and a lot of time you can, a lot of companies do this, they make this mistake, and if you want to kind of find out if you're making this mistake, you can just put a heat map on your website. Okay, and you can see how many people are scrolling down, how many people get stuck near the top, and you can get a very clear picture on that. Okay, so those two issues are something that we're going to need to solve right now, and also we need to make this headline more compelling. Okay, so let's try and do that right now. We can start by getting rid of this initial headline there. And what we can do, using the information that we just learnt and that I just showed you, I mean, we're taking information that already exists, but we're kind of putting it into the headline, into a place, and making a more compelling buying agreement and sort of value proposition, okay, in the headline. And so here's one I've come up with: save £30 on Pixel 4a, which is exactly what it said before. This time I'm saying when you buy before the 2nd of December. Okay, so that's now kind of going to catch people's mind and say, hold on a second, there's a bit of urgency to this offer. Maybe I should, if I'm thinking about it, if I'm on the fence, this kind of a statement might sort of just hook me into kind of reading the page or staying on the page for a little bit longer, and then kind of helping me make a purchase decision later on if I get sold by the rest of the material on the page. We're also going to bring up some of this content from below. So this part here, which is looking for phone with 5G speeds, I think that's enough of a kind of interesting statement to kind of add here at the top also, because that's quite an interesting statement to people. Okay, that's good. It's a lot of features that people are interested in, so we can kind of add that in there as well. Of course, we still need to put the buy button back, so let's add that there. And finally, now we've got kind of everything, that's a much more compelling headline, and all the content that we have now above the fold is I would say is much more interesting than it was before. Okay, but we're missing one more thing, which is kind of letting people, so now we've got an option here for people who want to buy. We've got 2 buy now buttons, but what we don't have is something here to let people know that there's more information on the page, and even if they're not ready to kind of buy now, they may want to kind of take a look around. Okay, and that we're going to add just down here, a little scroll to go more, so people know as soon as you land on the page, you don't have to touch anything. As soon as the page is displayed, it tells you everything you need to know. Okay, you've got a compelling headline if you want to purchase now. You've got a time limit in there, and that time limit, it existed before anyway. It's not something new. It's just information that we just kind of taken from elsewhere and added it into the headline. Okay, it might not be on brand to kind of have a countdown timer or something like that here, so Google might not want to put that much pressure on the buyer, but I think it's fine to actually just have a date, a cut-off date here, which makes it much more compelling for people to kind of jump in and take a look more seriously at the offer. So now you can see all the content that's here above the fold. It's far more interesting, and it makes a much more compelling argument for someone to stay on the page, even if they're not really interested in buying right now. It's kind of there to hook you in and kind of make you stay on the page, and that kind of increases the chance of someone being sold by the rest of the information below the fold and buying the product. So that would be our first, let's say our first 1 and 2 revenue threads that were on the page. Okay, the headline needs to be much more compelling, and compared to before, that was save £30 on Pixel 4a. It's only compelling if you really want to buy right now, but you really need something which gets people to scroll more down the page if they haven't really made that decision to buy just right now. Okay, so there's a couple of revenue threads there that have just been averted. So let's take a look at the rest of the page and scroll down the page here. So this part here now, because we've added that at the top, we can keep it there, or you could just change the wording and we'll just have this button, the shop Pixel 4a, just there sitting there by itself. That would be fine. Taking a look at this headline here, packed with all the things you want most in a phone. That's a really good headline. I do like that headline because it just tells people, it's very clear, and it tells people straight away that, hey, listen, these are the things you wanted and this is what you have. Okay, so these headlines here, they're all really good. I like them. Take photos, charge less. They're good for now. Okay, the icons here are all very nice. They're quite eye-catching. Some of the headlines they could do with a little bit more clarity, and we'll cover that as we go down the page. Okay, so over here what we have is, this is an offer. Okay, this is, if you buy the Pixel 4a now, you get 3 month trials of YouTube. Okay, so this offer here should be ideally presented as some sort of a gift. Okay, if you have it there and say, if you buy the phone now, this is kind of like a free gift that you get with the phone when you purchase today, something like that. If you present it and position this as a free gift or free, something free when you get the phone, it'll be like a bonus item. It's much more, it helps people to kind of it convinces people to purchase the phone. So this is a good headline. Okay, I like this. Jaw-dropping photos near, far, or even galaxies away, and this is covering a couple of things that they cover in here. Okay, but it's all geared around taking better pictures with the phone. And people now today, what a lot of people use their phones for is taking selfies, or taking pictures of friends and family, or even using Instagram or Facebook, and a lot of popular apps like that. So using a phone for taking photos is a very it's very important to people. So it's good that Google have kind of got that here front and center as a good feature of the phone. Okay, and as you scroll down the page, it kind of gives you an example of a couple of the pictures that people have taken, I'm guessing, with their phones. This is a very interesting feature because this is just one feature. Sorry, let's cover this one first. This is top-notch photos taken up a notch. It's not that specific headline. I don't think that's the clearest headline in the world. What I find on this Google page specifically is the headlines here. they're often not as clear as the blurb underneath. So, over here you could say something like, HDR plus makes your photos look better. That could be the headline, and then underneath you could have just something like the top-notch photos, the top-notch photos, and switch the two around. Okay, so basically the headlines are ultra clear. They should be very specific, and then the blurb kind of you can afford to be a little more vague in the blurb. Okay, but the headlines need to be very clear. So this headline, I would really like to say something like HDR plus makes your photos look even better. That could be the headline here, and then talk about how your photos are made top notch by adjusting lighting and color and things like that in the blurb. Here's another example. So this one here is, I don't think this is very clear. Okay, get the shot without the flash. So let me see. For example, I would you could actually just change this here and say take clear pictures in low light. That could be a headline. Okay, so let me kind of just give you a bit of an example. Okay, so here's what it says right now. Get the shot without the flash. It's not really clear. I mean, if you walked up to a complete stranger in the street and said, "Oh, what does this mean? Get the shot without the flash." People might be a little bit, "Is that, are you talking about a gunshot?" Or it could be anything. Okay, it could be vague, and you don't really want that with your headlines. Okay, so what I would change it to is something like this, which is take clear pictures in low light. Get the shot without the flash with night sight. Okay, so that's much more clearer. Okay, if you just read the headline by itself, it's very clear what you're trying to say to people. And as today, people are kind of accessing all these pages on their phones, they're scrolling, they're in a rush. So you want to be very, very clear as quickly as you possible. Okay, take clear pictures in low light, get the shot without the flash with night sight. Okay, it's a nice clear benefit there. But this is what it says at the moment, and that's kind of how I would change that. Okay, let's carry on going through the page. I thought this was an interesting feature, this part here, because a lot of people today, I mean, recently there's news of Elon Musk's satellites being launched into space. A lot of people I knew were trying to take pictures of the night sky. I don't know if Google's responding to maybe how people are using their phones. I guess they would know. But this is quite interesting, that the fact that it's actually been called out on the page, and people are saying you can actually take pictures of the night sky very clearly. Okay, so I think that's really good, because I know lots of people. I've tried taking pictures of the night sky and stars and stuff, and sending it to people, and all I get is a black screen. So that's quite a good feature there. Once again, you're still talking about. This is a good headline, because it's very clear. Portraits that look completely professional. I mean, that's all you need to say. Okay, and then you've got a little demo here down the screen of blur, and you kind of it's interactive, where you can change it and see how the blur in the background makes the photos a bit more different. Okay, so that's good on page. It's interactive. This is something I like a lot, because it's showing you very clearly that once you take a picture, it tells you the image here is really good. Okay, so that image is really good way that kind of like this goes to show the interactive way and how simple it is. Share in a snap, that could definitely be made different. Okay, so you could just change it to something like it could just say send photos quickly. Okay, rather than share in a snap. Okay, so you can actually make that headline a lot more clearer, like you've seen how I did it before. The headline share in a snap can still be, you still got to kind of when it goes into your brain, you still need to really translate that. It doesn't tell you exactly what it's doing, but if you just put the title there, which is send photos quickly or send photos faster as a headline, and then explain exactly how it's doing. But it's good that the picture there is, you can see the animation as I scroll back into it. Shows exactly how to do it. It's very visual, so I like that. Let's move on. So this is now talking about the battery life. Okay, I'm not sure if a battery, this title, it does make sense. I like it, but it's not, I think it could be made clearer. A battery that takes you from breakfast to bed. So yeah, it does. I think someone's trying to be, clever here with the wordplay, the alliteration, and the two B's, breakfast to bed. But it's kind of like a lot of words to really say that. Listen, this is just a battery that will last you all day. So that headline maybe could do with improving. It's interesting to note here, it just says all day battery, which is far more clearer. It's much more compelling. If you're looking at a page about a phone, it's not the clearest once again, but it's much more clearer than the big headline I got here. And I think if they had all day battery here, that would be a much better, it just strikes, it's just clear, it's very understandable, it's got high understandability, and there won't be any kind of mistakes about what that could mean. this animation on the page is really just kind of, it's not really selling the phone anymore. It's just something which makes the web page kind of a bit more just look good. So it's not really, it wasn't really necessary, but anyway, that's there. Quick charge. That's a good look. Maybe something like, this, you've got fast charging written here, so maybe you could have something, like faster charging. Might be an interesting something to put there, like faster charging is very clear, faster charging, and then explain how the quick charge feature works, or just that could be once again made a little bit more clearer, just so as soon as someone glances at it, there's no mistaking what it's about. Okay, it's ultra clear. This headline here, a little help with your day, I thought that was a little bit unclear as well. I wouldn't really I wouldn't lead with a little help with your day. I would talk about something about the Google Assistant, makes your life better, or the Google Assistant makes your day better, or something like that. A little help with your day is just a little bit of for me, that statement's just a little bit vague, and I wouldn't use that. I don't think that's very good. As we go down, let's carry on scrolling down. Okay, so it's got a little demo there of how the assistant works. So here you've got the text to meet the new Google Assistant. Something like that could have been put earlier on here at the stop, where it said meet the new Google Assistant. So now you kind of know exactly what they're talking about. There's the Google Assistant demo. How can I help? And you've got a little bit of blurb here which can carry on, demonstrating how it works. I think if earlier on we've had lots of animated little videos to kind of show how things work earlier on with the quick share pictures. If this was animated and kind of showed a little bit more information than just a still screenshot, that would be quite useful. They've got a demo here, but it wouldn't really be necessary if this had a bit more of an interesting it's like an animated image. That would be good. This is good. It tells you that, hold on, there's actually more to the phone. Google Assistant can help, or you're kind of recording and you're able to transcribe your speech and search your recording, so that would be good. Record would, I would put that into the headline, because you can now record, transcribe and search recordings, so that would be a good headline to put there. Which I wouldn't want people to miss that, because that would be something that would a feature that I would use lots. I do lots of transcribing and recording voice notes on my phone. As we get to the next section, this is all about security. So the icon is good, it makes sense. Rest assured, I definitely wouldn't go with that. It's a very vague statement. I don't like the idea of just that. This should, you get peace of mind knowing that your phone. You should have that. Peace of mind is something that everybody wants. Security, so they should be saying something like, in the headline here, they could actually be saying, get peace of mind with, the Titan security chip, or something like that. Like, it's very, that would be a lot more clearer. It's far more clearer than a vague statement like rest assured. But that's once again, it sticks with the theme of the page. The headlines on this page, they're not as clear as I would really like them to be. Superhero level security chip. That's kind of a little bit like in the kind of the fun tone of the company, so that is probably part of the branding, that they want to use language like that. But once again, it could be made clearer by just talking. You could make that much more shorter, much less words, and just talk about the new Titan security chip. This is a good headline: staying secure with guaranteed updates. So yeah, so that's good. And you could even actually add something that you automatically receive latest updates. So that's good. Next, we cover the actual phone itself. So this one just tells you that, hey, look, it's just black. We only have black right now. That's fair enough. A couple of pictures of the phone here. You can cycle through. That's good. This is really good. Lets you compare three of the phones. So the Pixel 4a, the 4 and the 3a. So that's good. I wouldn't have any more than 3, because that's quite just a good number that people can kind of handle in their minds. And you can compare them nicely. And you've got options there if you want to compare more. That's good. We covered this earlier on. This is the same offer that was made earlier. I would really like to see the word free somewhere. People love the word free, and you can let them know that you get 3 months of Google One as a free offer when you buy the Pixel 4a from this page. That would be good to put in the title. I think that would be a good sale, very compelling and help people. You've got the word free here, so free delivery on all orders. I think compared to the rest of the page, for me specifically, I think this feels like it's just a bit lonely. So it would be nice if there was like an image next to it, which just kind of let people see, hey, listen, you get free delivery, nice mailman or friendly mail person, this kind of delivering mail, or with a Google, the package in their hand, the delivering to a customer, something like that would be good. This is just for them to actually maybe join a mailing list, which they can then kind of keep you updated. Maybe I wouldn't put this in the middle of the page. I might have this, maybe if somebody tries to, if you try and leave the page, then this could pop up in a overlay. It wouldn't kind of interrupt the sales flow right now in the middle of the page right now, like it's doing at the moment. And then it's telling you where the phone is available at. Now, for me, I think these icons here, they look like they could be clickable, and that's not a good user experience because you're kind of pulling users out of the flow. So if they're not clickable, then maybe you should have these logos a little bit smaller and maybe kind of grey them out a little bit, or just make it clear that the phone is available at these places, but these are not clickable icons right now. Okay, so the way they are right now, you can, if you looked at your your analytics, or you had like some sort of click tracking software, click mapping, you'll be able to see that a lot of people, there'll be a lot of wasted clicks going here and kind of pulling people out of the flow, and you don't really want to do that especially when you're trying to sell something on the phone. So this would be a big revenue threat, I think. And finally, just before as you get to the end of the page, first of all, what I notice here is there is no there's no option on the page here to buy. So although you have this buy button here, you don't really have anything here. Now that they've made all this, you've seen all this fancy stuff by the phone, and they've really got you geared up to buy it, they don't give you an option on the page to buy it. And by this time, it's very common for people to kind of, you get kind of blindness to this buy button here, this whole, because it's been the same way throughout the entire page. This buy button, people get blindness to it. And so now, when you get to the end of the page, you've got to kind of search for it and look down. It's like there's nothing to. Where's the? It's not. I think a lot of people could miss that, so I might put a buy button on the page, but that would be a huge revenue threat, I think, costing Google lots of, hundreds of thousands of dollars possibly. But finally, one of the biggest mistakes that they're making on the page, which I think is really crazy, is they're now that they've sold you the phone, they're trying to add on items that you might want. And right now, at this stage in the buying process, this is completely misplaced, because what you really want to do is you want to get the person to actually get the phone, put it in the cart, and maybe start going through the checkout process. And then later on, once they've made that commitment to buy the phone, then you might want to start introducing and saying, hey, you know what, now that you bought the phone, you may also be into a case or the buds or the Nest, and then start introducing them to different products. Because what you can do at this stage, you've got kind of, you risk confusing people, and now, rather than making just one purchase decision, which is, do I want the phone, yes or no, you're now kind of turning that and mixing it into further purchase decisions in the user's mind, and you're kind of clouding their judgment and their mind with more decision making. Okay, now, do I want the case as well as the phone, or then do I want the glass shield case or the Pixel Buds, or then they start kind of getting. You pull them out of the flow of making a purchase decision, and if they are in a rush, or something, get distracted, which is now very easy because someone could be viewing this on their phone, then they kind of like, they think, okay, I can't. What actually happens is they can't make that decision right now on the spot, and so they close the page and they come back later on, and oftentimes you'll just lose the sale. Okay, so you can't have things like this, big distractions like this, kind of getting in people's way when they're trying to buy a product from you. Okay, but all in all, it's a nicely laid out page. I like the look of it. They are making a couple of mistakes. I think if they fixed all of the mistakes that I pointed out on this page and made those changes, I think you could scientifically do an A/B test, and the new page would make a big difference in conversions and make many more, a whole lot more in sales. Like, I don't know how much traffic goes to this page, but it's probably a lot. So carrying these sorts of revenue threats on the page, I think would be very expensive for Google right now. And here we are back to the start of the page. That was the website, and this is the way that I would have designed it and made the page much more compelling.